Hello, and welcome to the Continuity Report powered by ohmtown.com. Go over, become a citizen, and maybe the AI will watch over us all. Always watching. Speaking of the AI, I am Merwat, and above me is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, hometown citizens. Welcome to the Continuity Report.
Today is May 26th, 2024. This is Season 1, Episode 21 of the Continuity Report. Today we're going to be talking about mid-budget movies, mysteries that took years to solve, new Apple TV Multiverse show, tech inventions in Sci Fi. Denzel Washington has never made this kind of movie. You never really did cut the cord. Mark and Chris talks thriller. Knives Out 3. Furiosa fights Garfield over the big lasagna. And comfort movies. And like I said earlier, everything's powered by ohmTown. So I don't normally say this as often as I'm doing it today, but we're right on the cusp of the summer of stream, and so I'm trying to get word out that ohmtown.com exists, and you can become a citizen of ohmTown, and you can do things like save certain lists for that might be interesting to you, and it's all stored in your own little private account over in ohmtown.com. You can share the list with other people. You can post comments under the various articles that are aggregated, but it is a news management system. ohmtown.com was created so that Mayor Watt could manage his information overload, and because at the time I was reading hundreds of news sources every day, I needed something to make sense of it all. And out came ohmtown.com. Since then, it has grown. I've decided that I'm going to be launching 50 shows that are based off of each of the channels. There's 6 main categories and 50 shows categorized underneath them. 7 of them are what we do now each week. So ohmTown Daily News Show is the show that we just did today, but we also do it Monday through Friday and Saturday. And we do Reality Hacker, Wanted, Warcrafters, The Continuity Report, which is this show, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech. There is an 8th show that's in the work that will be launched during my summer of stream called Mix War, where we will make music using AI and other tools and vie for position number 1, el numero uno head honcho of AI generated music. So you have to be a little bit of wizard, a little bit of tech, musician at heart. Even if, well, we won't get into that, but let's get into the Continuity Report. We've got all 10 shows already, unlike the previous show. All 10 articles are ready. Not shows. All 10 articles are ready. And we kind of go through them. Sometimes some article will end up being this long form discussion, kind of like this intro, and we end up spending 20 minutes on it, but we always play catch up. So if you have questions or comments, you can throw them into the chat. If you want to see the articles, if you weren't already in chat, when you logged in to Twitch and you come into ohmTown here on twitch.tv, if you hit ! show notes, that will give you the command list that will allow you to pull up the actual article list. So for the Continuity Report, you hit ! TCR, and that will pull up all 10 of the articles and a link to youtube.com/ohmtown, which is our home over on YouTube, because every 60 days, the oldest VOD gets deleted by Twitch. So kind of a bummer. And if you are interested, you can actually hit ! pod, and that will give you a list of all of the podcasts as they reside over on Apple services. So you can catch all of our podcasts wherever you catch pods. I've said podcast a lot. Ready to get into the show?
I am, but you should definitely check out the podcasts.
Yeah, all 7 of them are available under the network ohmTown. If you just do a search for ohmTown, it'll pull it up. That said, first article is over in the Warcrafters channel. Not everything is housed within the Continuity Report channel. We aggregate from all across the network. And like I said, there's actually 47. I haven't added the other 3 yet, but it's because I have there's room, and these are the edge cases of my interests. But all of these are areas of interest for Mayor Watt. And if you are interested in hosting or co-hosting, send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com and we can work out the minutia of any discussions for you to host or co-host. Right now, it's just me and the sentient AI from the future. So the very first article is over in Warcrafters. Hollywood might start making mid-budget movies again soon.
Wow, it's about time. We saw another opinion piece previously in Hometown that we included, where it was kind of like maybe we should be doing mid-budget movies.
Yeah, I think mid-budget movies are kind of like the short stories of I guess movie going, right?
I guess so, but I mean, if they do well and people like them, I don't know why we're always having to spend, hundreds of millions of dollars and then going, oh gosh, that lost money.
Yep, exactly. The age of the blockbuster might finally be ending. Finally seems kind of, I don't know, kind of dark, kind of cynical. I love the idea of massive budget. Like Dune is this massive budget, at least in my estimation, but the world building there really demands it, right?
That's true. And also, I know, at least in the US, summer is known for blockbuster movies. I don't know if that's still the case, though, based on another headline.
I don't know. We're going to find out. I think Garfield is eating somebody's lunch. So let's go over to the source of this, which is Polygon. This says Robert Pattinson. Sorry, Robert Pattinson in Bong is this picture. So let's scroll down here. Austin Goslin is the author of this. And it says there's a dim light at the end of the blockbuster output tunnel with smaller and medium-sized movies like Trap, Smile 2, Nosferatu, and Mickey 17, which is where that picture is from. One of them is. Where is that other picture then? This? No, that's not it. Okay, well, I don't know what they're talking about in this thing. Dominating conversations and studio presentations at this year's CinemaCon, the expo for all things theatrical release, and similarly budgeted films continuing to show impressive gains at the box office. A question is in the air. Could the mid-budget movie make a comeback? So what is mid-budget? Hollywood's current obsession with movies that cost north of $150 million is big budget.
I guess so, but it's not just the dollars, it's the take up half the screens at multiplexes.
So that's kind of interesting, right? So they take up all of this real estate and push all of the smaller films out. What we don't know is what we don't know. That's kind of the problem here. We could have a small indie film that didn't make it through the Cannes Film Festival because nobody wanted to bid on it because they didn't see a return on their investment being 3 times and movie accounting and blah, blah, blah. So you end up
Meanwhile,
with
it could have been like
Furiosa.
the best story ever.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And what I want is just superior storytelling. I don't necessarily have to have all of the glitz and glam. It's impressive, but I don't know. I just want something, tight, something that is compelling. It isn't just glitz. It isn't just glamour. It's actually I want the stew, baby.
Well, I think it either needs to be just plain entertainment, which I think some of the big budget movies are, or just something different. It seems like we just see the same movies kind of coming out over and over again, at least on the larger budget ones.
You're not the first AI. Well, you're the first AI that I've heard say that, but not the first human. So they say studios would build out their calendars with a few blockbusters each year, plus a couple of smaller movies that might take big chances. But they stack the majority of their calendars with projects in the mid-budget realm, movies that cost around 10 to 90 million to make, with a little wiggle room on either side, and usually involved at least one or two stars to get viewers in the door. In the 2000s, those mid-budget slated included everything from rom-coms like 50 First Dates or Fever Pitch, or to prestige dramas like Michael Clayton, and dark dramas like No Country for Old Men. But blockbuster office returns soared. Mid-budget movies that could triple their budgets and make 60 million at the box office seemed like chump change for studios, but they had to spend 150 million to get that, but it ends up billions in the long tail of cinematic universes, right? So that's what ended up happening.
Well,
Suddenly,
it's not just the production, it's the marketing also.
and then products that are spun off of it that people buy, etc. All it maximizes the profits. It squeezes out every single drop of dollar from a pocket. So if one missed the mark, the consequences could be devastating. No longer were the small, overperforming movies on the ledger to cushion the financial blow because they all spent their big bucks on this one blockbuster. So it says this kind of cycle is nothing new for Hollywood. And Easy Riders, Raging Bulls, author Peter Biskind, right? Recounts the history of the studio blockbuster boom and bust in the 60s, the parade of talented filmmakers, executives, etc. So everything old is new again, right? And then they say each time the cycle repeats, a few massive bombs and overall diminishing ticket sales helped studios understand that audiences wanted them to reset the market and move from bigger movies back to smaller ones.
Do you think there's another variable too? I mean, like how a movie does at the movie theater may be different than how it does on streaming.
Correct. And that has been posed as a problem before, right? Because like the Screen Actors Guild and others are saying the streaming service is where they're making their money now. Y'all are making the money. Why aren't we making that money? And it's because a large population, quote unquote, cut the cord, which I'm going to show you is actually false. We never cut the cord. We cut what we thought was the cord, but we're still corded. Don't get it, confused. Maybe I have the wrong definition of what cutting the cord means in some people's eyes, but my definition is I can demonstrably prove that the cord has always been there. So in other words, the studios have always moved where their audiences were as long as they had the data to find them. I think that COVID had nothing to do with it other than people found out what was important and they would rather watch their movie at home, and they're already paying for a bunch of stuff. So why go to a movie theater? And COVID just exacerbated this, us moving away. Although I think that movie theaters were actually very popular at the time. But again, I think what's actually happening now is people are tired of the cinematic universe from Marvel, and they can get all of it from streaming services without having to go to a movie theater. I'm actually surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, is what I should say. But we're going to talk about this towards the end of the show. What I think is fascinating, all the hype leading to something that just seems to have fallen flat. But we'll end up talking about it.
Well, don't you think some of the studios just think, well, because something in a franchise did well, it's like a guarantee for the next movie in the franchise? And there was a statement earlier in the article about basically like everything seemed to involve capes, which I think was a good point toward the Marvel glut of movies.
Yeah, people are tired of superheroes. And I think that it's the long tail of this franchise, like you mentioned, is kind of getting nipped, right? Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Fast X, the Marvels, and MCU stuff where the superhero is coming out of a vacuum with it's, to me, what they were doing with some of these superheroes was like checking a box instead of having a real tie-in and building that character up so that when they do present them, they were pivotal or they played some key role in some other movie, so that people didn't go, who the hell is this movie about? We don't really know, because not everybody that's going to go to a movie, a Marvel movie, knows the backstory from the comics or graphic novels, Mom.
No, they don't know all the canon. I mean,
Right.
it's very tough to follow along, assuming it doesn't just kind of stand on its own.
Yeah, and if you're a parent and you've never engaged in graphic novels or comics, then you're sitting there going with your kid, and the kid is sitting there going, "Oh, I love this," and talking to you about it on the way to the movie theater or on the way home, and you're going, "Uh-huh," right? So,
Smile and nod.
yeah. Now, Disney has always played this smart. They've always tied their actors into other shows so that it's not a surprise when they pop out on their own. And they have more like
They
terrestrial.
have more range too,
Yeah, that's true too.
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and we witness it in real time happening. It's much more public. The only thing that you don't hear about, which is interesting, you don't hear what is it? What are they called? The Mickey Mouse Club. A lot of actors for Disney come out of the Mickey Mouse Club, but I don't know of anything Mickey Mouse Club. Have you ever heard anything like, "Hey, this is from the Mickey Mouse Club"?
No, it's like it's almost forgotten. But if you look back at somebody's bio,
They're like Mickey
there
Mouse
is
Club.
a common nexus. Yeah.
Yeah. But they end up having a whole lot of it's kind of one of the problems that I suffer from, which is I came out of a vacuum. I have no following. I don't go out and do marketing. I don't sit there and hype myself up in other people's channels. I actually operate as Mayor Watt out in other channels, but I don't tell people that I stream, and unless somebody says, "Hey, I've heard of you," or something like that. But Disney is like, "Hey, we want you to be in this show, and you get credits there, and you have a speaking part," and it ties everybody together, and then they pop out. But that, I think, is kind of the mid-budget thing, right? That's a mid-budget movie. And then when they show promise at that mid-budget level, they move up into the big hitter level. And that's where the
Where
squeeze
things
is.
go awry.
Well, it either goes fantastically amazing or it goes horribly awry. But I think the horribly awry is because it's just been tapped again and again and again. That button is now just worn out. We're tired of it. We don't want blockbuster, which is just trite, boring, garbage writing. We want stuff that is really impactful. At least that's what I'm looking for. Like, we're going back and we're watching all of the Castle episodes, and we get really into these Castle episodes because the banter and the chemistry on set and the
The
storyline
writing.
is a lot of fun. Yeah. That's what I want, but I want that at the cinematic scale. So like Knives Out, I think is going to be blockbuster if they follow the first two.
I hope so, but I mean, the first two were so good. I think the third is it's going to be challenging to follow.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see. It says, well, blockbusters are key talking points for the studios at CinemaCon 2024. Nearly all of them had an impressive slate of mid-budget movies on their calendars for both 2024 and 2025. Now, we need to follow CinemaCon. We need to make a note of that. So M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. Jeff Nichols is the Bike Riders. Ty West's Maxine. Longlegs. Speak No Evil. Smile 2. My God. That is some serious directing here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 movies coming from Ty West. Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17, The Black Phone 2, and The Bride, just to name a few. So this is mid-budget. I'm game for it. You know, I'm happy to watch another M. Night movie. Bong Joon-ho, again, is going to do some tremendous work. I'm going to love those movies that come out. Smile 2, though. That's a horror movie that I saw that was creepy as all get out. So I can... Oh, and Speak No Evil. That is going to be I think that's actually a remake, isn't it? Hold on. No, I'm not going to get tied up. We'll talk about it. I'll do some due diligence and we'll end up talking about it in some other episode.
Well, when it comes out and they feature it, we'll probably have it in the episode.
True. Yeah. So they say it's not going to completely go away. Mission Impossible movies on the board for 2025. Fantastic Four. This is a remake of a remake of a remake. James Gunn's Superman. That's played out. Another Avatar movie. That's burnt out. But the pendulum seems to be swinging back towards the center for the first time in more than a decade. With success of movies like Bullet Train, Smile, Barbarian, and even this year's The Beekeeper, it's getting more and more evident that audiences are eager for smaller, more interesting movies. Ding! That's it. All right.
I hope this is accurate because this seems like a good move.
I think so too. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Continuity Report, 8 TV show mysteries that took years to be solved, and we're just going to jump on over to the source. The article is at Screen Rant by Stephen Holland. Talented series creators held back answers for years to create intense TV mysteries. This one just... Is this one about the slap? I don't know. We'll find out.
No, it's going to be about, well, I don't know if you want me to say.
Yeah, let's find out. Hold on. So, show mysteries like Gossip Girl's identity, Benjen's fate in Game of Thrones, and Janitor's name in Scrubs captivated audiences. How I Met Your Mother's Ted Mosby's journey to meet the mother, and Better Call Saul's transformation into Saul Goodman intrigued viewers. So, The Identity of Gossip Girl, 2007 to 2012. I never watched a single episode of that.
No, I've never seen it.
So are these going to be...
I didn't realize that it was one where there wasn't a known quantity.
Oh, this is actually very spoilery. Do you think that we'll ever watch Gossip Girl?
I don't think so.
From the pilot episode to the finale 6 seasons later, audiences were enthralled by the mystery of who the elusive Gossip Girl could be. I'll let y'all go over to this article and watch it, or read it, but I'm going to skip over it real quick so that the AI doesn't see it unless you've already seen it. But it's interesting, although... Now I'm going to have to watch a couple episodes and go, did I already know this? Like, did I know this right away?
Right.
But I know what the secret is. So, do you want to take a stab at it? You have
For
any
Gossip
idea?
Girl?
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Who was
about
the
that
Gossip
show.
Girl?
I don't know, because I don't know anything about the show.
You'd be able to guess it in a vacuum if you allow yourself to.
Not a girl.
Ding.
I mean, okay. I'm like,
That's
I don't know
funny.
any of the character names or anything.
It was that easy. That's funny. So I'll see you in 25 years. Twin Peaks. That was a mind tweak. So 1990 to 1991, it was really short, and then they picked it up again in 2017.
That's a weird gap in that. Maybe that was a remake or something.
The central question of who killed Laura Palmer drove the narrative of the show initially, but it was weird. That whole show was weird. The second season of Twin Peaks suffered from declining ratings, and there was a gap of 25 years between the release of the movie Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me and the third season, subtitled The Return.
Oh, so it was actually an additional season. That is astonishing. I bet that's the only show that's ever had that long between seasons.
Yeah, and it's kind of like Arrested Development, like popped up.
I
It was
see.
great.
Yeah.
It was a great show at the time, and then they pull it back. They pull it out of mothballs, and then they go, this isn't quite. The writing wasn't the same when they went back. So Who Was the Mother? How I Met Your Mother. That one was always really interesting because the show was about it. How I Met Your Mother, but it was never really anything, right? And then there was a spin-off, if I recall correctly, called How I Met Your Father. And so it says the long-running mystery of How I Met Your Mother was apparent simply from the show's title, and then you find out who it was. When the final ending had Ted and Robin end up together, many viewers were left frustrated, as this felt like an obvious ending undid the impact of Barney Stinson's character growth and undermined the show's entire premise. Yeah. Because there was a lot of talk about the yellow umbrella.
That's right.
The janitor's name, Scrubs, 2001 to 2010. This would actually be a fun show to go back, because there's a lot of talk about the whole idea, kind of like the Three Amigos, that everything was not real after the bad bat.
Interesting.
This in Scrubs, there's this theory that the janitor was a hallucination. And all of this was, to some degree, depending on who you talk to, right? Theories around the janitor's real name swirled around for years as viewers tried to find clues and hints about the true nature of his identity, only to come up very short every time. However, in the last episode, you find out what they wanted to know, revealed his name, Glenn Matthews. So this whole episode, this whole article is basically spoilery if you've not watched all this.
Yeah.
What happened to Uncle Benjen? Everybody dies. It doesn't matter. Everybody in...
Right, that's always the answer if it relates to Game of Thrones.
Yeah. The vision reignited viewers' theories about Benjen's importance before he finally showed up alive and well when encountering Bran and Mira beyond the wall. By the way, it doesn't even matter because the final season of it sucked, and we don't know. It's kind of like that thing about how like Canada doesn't really exist or whatever it is. There's some myth, not myth, but there's this meme about how a country doesn't even exist. But that's how Game of Thrones is. We don't even know what happened after season 7. It just stopped. How does Jimmy McGill turn into Saul Goodman? Never watched the show. I'll let you go over and watch it, and how it all connected in Dark. So this is one that I want to put on the list to watch. The German Netflix series Dark was an incredible narrative journey and TV show, it says, that did not fit into just one genre. As a time travel story that spanned multiple generations, alternative timelines, and dark mysteries surrounding missing people, the central question at the heart of Dark was how everything was connected and if the complex storylines laid over the 3 seasons would come together as a cohesive whole. Luckily, thanks to the incredible writing of Dark, and there's the key ingredient, it all made sense in the end, although it took 3 years for the mystery to come together fully. And I'm not going to spoil it for myself. So I'm going to let y'all go over and check that out. Tease you into going over to Screen Rant. If you've never been to Screen Rant, it's a great source for, well, screen-worthy news, I suppose.
Right, entertainment news.
Yep. Let's go on to the next article. We're running really behind. This next article is a new Apple TV Plus Multiverse show. Is a reminder to watch an 88% Rotten Tomatoes sci-fi thriller. So Dark Matter is what they're talking about. And it has a spoiler, but both Dark Matter and Coherence explore complex quantum concepts in tangible ways for viewers. Unlike Dark Matter, Coherence psychological depth and unique plot contribute to its higher ratings. I haven't seen Dark Matter yet, so it's a fresh take on multiverse travel, reminiscent of the indie film Coherence. So I don't remember if I've watched Coherence. I'm going to have to go and pull it up and check it out. Pardon me.
So do we think this is actually a thriller, or do we think this is horror?
Perspective, I guess. We'll have to go and see. For starters, both movie and the show cleverly use quantum mechanics concept like quantum decoherence and the observer effect. Dark Matter is the one about how the doctor created the lab. And it has all of these doors in it, if I remember right?
I think so.
And his his clone in the other world came through one of the doors and took his place in the universe where he created the cube, but everybody built the cube. He built the cube in the multiverse, everywhere in the multiverse, or had something to do with it in some way, I guess. But the cube exists in all of the universes, so it had to come into existence. Coherence does not feature interdimensional travel devices like the box from Dark Matter. While the characters in Dark Matter have to follow an intricate process that begins with injecting a brain-numbing drug, the ones in Coherence merely walk down a street during a comet's flyby to access a new alternate reality. So it might be interesting to watch that, but we'll take a look. I don't remember Coherence. It's not. There's the trailer for it. But I guess if you are interested in Dark Matter, watch Coherence as well. According to Screen Rant's Dhruv Sharma.
I mean, the rating alone suggests to watch it. That's a very high rating.
Yeah, and it's going to have, they claim that it's going to have some great writing. So I think that that's the redeeming value for it too. So we'll have to watch it just to see, and then watch Dark Matter. I've been wanting to watch Dark Matter just to see if I can get into it. Because I'm really into time travel and the whole concept of it called temporology. There's an entire show all about it. I just haven't spun it up yet. It's one of the many that I want to bring to Twitch. Temporology is the study of science, the science and science fiction of time travel. It's the study. And it's created by the term temporology was actually created by Russian researchers of time and time travel. So let's keep on going though. The next article is over in the continuity report, and all of this stuff has to do with movies, TV shows. And so this one is 10 tech inventions in sci-fi movies that will probably be real soon. I love this. I'm going to go straight on over. It's to Screen Rant. Mary Castle is the author of this. They have basically a takeaway or a summary, kind of like a deck statement sometimes. Virtual reality gaming like Ready Player One is closer than you think, with immersive experiences on the horizon. In fact, I just showed the sentient AI from the future a haptic suit that allows you to feel the impact and experience things like driving a car, flying a plane, etc. It would actually make impact on you. And
it's
you
like
can,
Ready Player One.
It's like Ready Player One. Yep. Mission Impossible's optical illusion tech could be real soon, showing a blend of sci-fi and reality. There's flexible LED screens, basically, that allow you to remap your face so that you can look like somebody else, at least from a distance. And genetic engineering like Gattaca and human cloning in Never Let Me Go pose ethical dilemmas for the future. We're already witnessing that. Gattaca, though, is actually pretty awesome because the name is built off of the same thing. The whatchamacallits.
The genetic code.
Yeah. The 4 bases. Bases and acids, actually. Which is really, I won't get in. My brain just went straight on over to vitamins. The vitamin B has 2 of the bases, but not the acids.
Right.
So it's really weird. Anyway, I instantly got sidetracked. Sorry about that, folks. So the best sci-fi movies are full of interesting and innovative technology that appears years ahead of today's capabilities. But let me tell you something. Researchers have been researching this stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if the people who write about this stuff haven't brushed up against some science journal or a person that is doing research tertiary to it, and then the creative person takes it and amplifies it a notch. That's kind of how I want to treat AI. It's there to stir the creative juices, not necessarily be the creative. So the article talks about 10 things. Virtual reality gaming and Ready Player One. We're really close. They actually mentioned haptic suits are almost already there. They're closer than you think. You can actually put on a haptic suit, full body suit. And with VR, you can feel the impact or even somebody touching you, because it would create a little vibratory touch, a little bit of motion where somebody is touching you. And there are gloves now that have resistance as you squeeze to pick something up. It makes it feel like there's mass, but not weight. That is the biggest problem. When you pick something up, it doesn't necessarily feel like weight. You would need a bodysuit that constricts like our muscles do, so that when you go to pick something up, it pulls you back down, but through like an exosuit kind of thing. And that's what a haptic suit does to a degree. It just doesn't have the resistance yet, at least not full body. We'll skim through this really quick so that we can see all of these. Hallway projector and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. They say in the films, Ethan Hunt and his team complete daring chases and escapes while using unbelievable technological advancements. They basically project onto a screen the rest of the screen, and it's so hyper realistic that they don't suspect anything. So all of this is fake because they
Wow.
put a
And
screen
Mission
up.
Impossible is known for that, I think. Like they always show neat I guess technologies, etc.
Yep, that's pretty funny right there. So, and there's the screen. And you can do that right now. Projectors actually project high resolution images onto a screen from behind. Um, and yeah, those actually exist. They're projectors. Reversing extinction in Jurassic Park. There's actually a company out right now that's trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. They mention it here. But I can't remember the name of the company. I don't think that they mentioned it in here. Maybe
Oh
further down.
yeah.
No, they don't. Yeah, but they're trying to bring back the woolly mammoth and other extinct species. There's several of them now that are doing this. And then they talk about self-driving cabs and Total Recall. That's already on the way. It's already there. Babelfish would change humanity's communication skills. Instant translation in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. We're almost at that right now. AI has a little bit of a lag, but it can actually speak back and translate into any language. The real problem is idiomatic nuance.
Well, we also have the like AI can create a whole conversation right from a still photo.
Oh yeah,
We got a
yeah.
lot of stuff going toward this. By the way, that movie or that company should have been named Colossal that was working on the Mammoth project.
Oh okay. Yeah, they had more than just that one woolly mammoth one. Yeah. Pretty cool. So this instant translation is, if not already upon us, it's very, very close. Now, other languages that it hasn't, that we haven't saved and translated, that will never happen. I don't think it'll ever happen. Um, and that's why I think that we need to create a mechanism to save languages from cultures that are basically dying because modernization allows children in these other cultures to move to regions of higher population. They adopt and adapt to the city life or town life or American or French culture or whatever, but the language gets lost, and that's actually a problem in a lot of regions. But I think that it has value, and those spoken languages where the history is actually spoken need to be preserved or lost forever. And it isn't that it's going, like somebody will just sit there and go, well, it didn't really matter. We don't know what matters, because if you ignore all of that, it's willful ignorance, and they could have something extremely profound in their historical record, and we're just going to brush it off like so much extinct animal. And it shouldn't be like that. Cloaking devices and the Invisible Man. This one is probably going to be really, really tough. But there is some technology now that acts like a mirror, bending light around and showing what's behind the person. But there's a distortion. And it was, what's really interesting about this is about 30 years ago, I had created something similar where it was a camera that faced that way, but a projector that presented what it saw that way. So, and onto a screen. And so the theory was you could put this on a tank and it would show the other side of the tank to whoever's looking at it from the side. And as long as it doesn't move, at high speed, you
Right.
wouldn't even know it's there. And then you do the same
That's pretty
thing
incredible.
everywhere around. Um, but there were technological limits, and so I never really moved on it. Then an operational base on the moon in Ad Astra, that's right around the corner. We're like 10 years out from that, supposedly. We're sending stuff up now to do mining operations to see if we can actually build with the regolith that is there. And we're doing fundamental research on that aspect to build, maybe use the regolith itself versus just inflatable whatever, genetic engineering in Gattaca, that's definitely already happening, folks. Human cloning in Never Let Me Go, which this, I think, society will have a problem with. It says the ethics of medical advancement are pushed to the limits. I think that this poses a bigger problem because even a clone is sentient, and so it has self-determination. Again, you would have to be a psychopath not to treat a clone as a living, thinking being with all of... Just because it's a clone doesn't mean that it is not a separate and distinct entity. So would humanity allow us to just clone people?
It depends on who's in charge, right? Like big tech.
And then AI with consciousness and Ex Machina. Probably one of the best movies about AI that I've seen. It was interesting because it was basically like a sci-fi mystery drama, something going... I mean, it was slowly turning into a rom-com kind of a thing until it suddenly became violent. But it's a fun movie to watch, and it really does expose the possibilities of what mechanized AI can do. If you put AI in a humanoid body, what is it capable of? Everything a human is, sans emotion. At least at this point. So that's a great... This whole show, this whole article, I think is awesome. And I think that everybody should go over and read it. We talked a little bit about it, but I'm going to have to watch Never Let Me Go. I haven't watched this yet. So it's
I haven't seen that one either. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous that I think most of the stuff on here, it's like, yeah, that seems like it's here or it's pretty soon.
Yeah. Everything...
when you watch sci-fi, it's like, oh, this is outlandish.
Yeah, exactly. All of this is here except for like real-time real cloaking. Yeah, that's that's not really possible right now. Okay, let's go on to the next article. This next article is over in the Continuity Report. Denzel Washington, who I'm not sure why, right? Like I've never really been a fanboy of a actor, but Denzel Washington, I'm like, oh my god, if I could shake Denzel Washington's hand. So awesome actor. Denzel Washington has never made this type of movie despite over 50 credits. Very prolific. The actor had his breakout role in the 1980s medical drama St. Elsewhere, which I had no idea about, before moving on to major feature films. I had no idea. I'm gonna have to go and look up his...
No, I didn't know that.
Little stint in St. Elsewhere. He won his first Oscar in 1990 for his Glory supporting role, which was spectacular, which he followed in 2002 win for Training Day, again spectacular. Overall, he's been nominated for 10 Oscars, including 9 as an actor: Cry Freedom, Glory, Malcolm X, The Hurricane, Training Day, Flight, Fences, Roman J. Israel, Esquire, and The Tragedy of Macbeth, and one as producer, Fences. So what has he not made a movie in? What genre?
Okay, so he's clearly done drama.
Right.
He's clearly done action.
Yeah.
Maybe like a romantic comedy or something?
And it says comedy in here.
I don't know what all these movies are, so I'm just
Gotcha.
basing it off of a
To
partial
me,
list.
all of them were drama, but all right, let's find out. So after the end of St. Elsewhere in 1988, the star took on a few other television projects. So he hasn't held a role on the small screen since providing voices for Happily Ever After fairy tales for every child in 1997. So he's appeared in
Oh,
more
so
than
it's going to be animated.
A Pelican Brief. Oh my god.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
Yeah. So he's only done voice roles on television. Denzel Washington has never starred in an animated movie. You picked it. Yay! Congratulations.
Well, that was only because of the clue.
Yeah, it was
I
almost
would not have guessed that. Like, I would have guessed several genres first.
anything but, right?
Mm-hmm.
So never done an animated movie. I'm surprised by that, actually. You know, he's got a great voice.
Yeah, you'd think he would actually do a lot of voiceover work.
Very commanding voice. You'd think that somebody would have found the right character for him to, command the room with that voice. Oh man, and I see him doing that thing with it because he talks sometimes with his hand, and he like the way that he wiggles that finger in your face, like if he was your dad, he would break his hand over your ass. Anyway, so yeah, all the stars' upcoming projects are live action. Gladiator 2. Gladiator. I didn't know he's going to be in Gladiator 2. High and Low. Untitled Antoine Fuqua Project. The Piano Lesson. Oh my god. Role of Hannibal. What the hell? What is that going to be?
I don't know what that is.
I'm getting distracted. Okay, well, you know what? Denzel Washington. Yeah, I guess I turned kind of fanboy there. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. Legacy cable company invents a $180 a year streaming bundle. Yeah, Comcast Stream Saver bundle isn't a bad deal, saving you about $8 a month. Jesus. Wait a minute.
This is outrageous.
Wait. So you're saying that wait. Let me go over to. This is from Digital Trends. Phil Nickinson is the author. Are you saying that if you are paying for Netflix, Peacock, and Apple TV Plus, you're paying $180?
I don't actually think that's what it means. I think those are some of the channels. But maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, wait. $180 a year streaming bundle. Okay. So it's basically what, 18 like $12 a year or $12 a month, right? So on their own, the three services would cost you about $23 a month. That's $7 for Netflix with ads at 1080 resolution. So that sucks. $6 for Peacock Premium with ads. So that sucks. And then Apple TV Plus is $10? No, it's more than that. Isn't it? Anyway, as it turns out, there's the same level of service you'll get with Stream Saver, saving you about $96 a year. And if you want to get rid of the ads and get 4K on Netflix, you can pay the difference for that higher service tier. So Comcast also says that you can bundle with Now TV, which is Xfinity's own live streaming service, a la YouTube TV or Hulu with live TV, for another $30 a month. So this is what I'm telling you. Y'all never cut the cord, because you're still tied to a monthly service fee that now you, instead of just paying Comcast or just paying whoever else, you're paying distributed across everything, and you can't skip their ads. You have to pay for the non-ad version of it. You couldn't with Comcast anyway, or not even just Comcast. You couldn't with a cable company skip their ads until you recorded it on their DVR, and then you pay a premium for the DVR service. Y'all never cut the cord. Cutting the cord basically then and now means you stopped all of your subscription, and then the only way you got your stuff is if you pirated. And look, it's illegal, right? And then
That's
if
right.
it
We're not saying to do that.
and if you didn't think that it was illegal and you're a content creator, somebody who is taking your stuff and making money off of it without a value add, right? Somebody takes your stuff and critiques it. Fine, fine. They're not highlighting, they're not just making money off of your work. They're critiquing something, and they're doing a reaction video. They're talking about it, which is largely what a lot of people do online. But there's some transformation, there's some value add, there's some benefit, there's some public discourse, whatever it might be. Nobody's just taking your movie and then consuming it without compensating you. So nobody has ever cut the cord. If you're still watching Netflix, if you're still watching Hulu or Apple or Peacock or anything, and now you can't even subscribe to get certain, you can't just subscribe to Comcast to get certain things. You have to subscribe to Peacock so that you can get a particular TV show. And so instead of that $180 going to Comcast, which however much it was at the time, I don't even remember the last time I paid for cable TV, but I guarantee you I'm paying more than $23 a month for all of this stuff.
This is just so ridiculous. This is just like this game, right? It's like, let's get away from cable.
But they've literally,
streaming is more of a pain. Let's go back to cable.
They've reconstituted everything. It's basically AT&T Baby Bells being pulled back together as AT&T Mobile. Now it's just cellular, but it's still owned by the same company. Now it's still services that you're paying everybody, but you're not, because you're paying Comcast for StreamSaver, who is the one-stop shop again for all of the network shows. It's all back to the cable companies.
Can't get away from them.
Can't get away. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Continuity Report. Crime 101, Mark Ruffalo in talks with two star. God bless America. Okay, so Crime 101, Mark Ruffalo in talks to star alongside Chris Hemsworth in thriller adaptation. Mark Ruffalo is in talks to star in the upcoming Crime 101 adaptation, where he'll co-star alongside Chris Hemsworth in the in-development project. This will reunite the two MCU stars after their double bill in Thor Ragnarok. So Mark Ruffalo will play the Hulk, and Chris Hemsworth will play Thor in Crime 101.
Okay.
So the article is actually at comingsoon.net, but it's sourced from Deadline. According to Deadline, and for us, it's according to comingsoon.net, and Anthony Nash, who writes that according to Deadline. Ruffalo will also be attached to the project as a producer for the film, which is set to premiere in theaters next year. Bart Layton is writing and directing the movie with Peter Strahan, also contributing to the film's script. So what is it about? Crime 101. It's a great crime story in the vein of Heat. High-level jewel thieves are taking place up and down the Pacific coast, and police have linked the thefts to the Colombian cartels, reads the synopsis for the novella. Detective Lou Lubsnik has other ideas, and he zeroes in on one perp, a thief looking for a final score. It's a Colombian Ocean's 11, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it could be good.
So Hemsworth most recently starred in the Netflix action thriller sequel Extraction 2. We missed that, and won.
Exactly.
In which he reprised his role as Black Ops mercenary Tyler Rake. Dun dun dun. And Ruffalo stars in Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things. a role that earned him an Academy Award nomination, and he'll also star in Bong Joon-ho's upcoming film Mickey 17. Um, the commercials of this, I want to see Mickey 17. I don't know about Poor Things. Apparently, it's pretty fantastical writing, but the premise of it is kind of surreal to me. I'm like, how did this make it past
Anybody? How did it make it past the admin assistant?
How did this get made? There's a podcast called How Did This Get Made that I think is really hilarious. Sometimes they have horrible audio, but I certainly think that it's a fun show to listen to. Anyway, we got to keep going. This next article is over in Reality Hacker. Netflix's Knives Out 3 to get a new title and a release date, thankfully. I really want to see this. I've loved every single, there's two of them. So I've loved both
exactly.
of the other Knives Out movies. One is a documentary, and the other one was a really fun watch.
Exactly.
Ryan Johnson has announced the official title for Netflix's Knives Out 3, and find out the movie's new name and release date by going over to Digital Trends. And Dan Girolamo is the author of this. Again, all of these links you can find out by just typing in the chat !TCR. And by the way, this should all still function even when the show is offline. If you go into the chat and type in !TCR, it'll still run. So Dan Girolamo put together this little article. Benoit Blanc will return for another case next year. Ryan Johnson announced Knives Out 3 will be titled Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. The third film arrives in 2025 on Netflix, with Daniel Craig reprising his role as Benoit Blanc. Pretty cool. That's all that I'm going to actually read from this. If there is more, it doesn't really matter. They say 2025, but I don't think that they have an actual date.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. I mean, it seems like it's been a while since the second installment.
Yep. We need this because, well, Garfield is eating Furiosa's lasagna. This next article is over in the Continuity Report. Furiosa is fighting Garfield for one of the worst Memorial Day box offices in decades. I told you, nobody wants to go to a movie theater anymore. They got over the hump of the pandemic, and now we're just not interested. We'd rather just watch it at home via a streaming platform where we don't have to worry about people who have really embraced their sociopathy and have no idea what it's like to be a proper human being. Coughing all over the place, sitting there watching a movie while they're watching a movie, talking all over everything.
Their phone with their light on, crunching food, crinkling stuff.
Man, I always tell this story. I went to a movie theater a long time ago now, and somebody put their feet up on the seat right where we were going to sit. And there were 3 of them, and I just went whack across all 6 feet with my hand. And the person that I was with was like, holy shit. And I'm like, we're trying to sit down. This isn't your living room. And they put their feet down and they're like, sorry, sir. And I'm like, I'm your age, man. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm not recommending people do that. I could have easily gotten my ass handed to me. So just be pragmatic about it and be polite and say, hey, we want to sit here. Thank you very much. Or sit there and scratch your back on their feet. Thank you very much, dude. Really appreciate it. Maybe lick your finger and run it up their pant leg real slow. Like, hey, you gonna leave that foot there, buddy?
Oh my God, don't do any of that.
Don't do that. I'm sure somebody's screaming at their screen right now saying that I'm doing something like, some assault or whatever. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
This is exactly what we need that button for that we were talking about.
AI, alert. So it's hard to hold a hard old world out there. So we hope you can take comfort in a mental image that's gotten us through the occasional cold and rainy morning of late. Imperator Furiosa, battle queen of the wastes, duking it out with obese Lasagna, Cat Garfield in the battle for death, or to the death. It should say not for the death, to the death.
Exactly.
Oh, how the fur will fly. The article is over at avclub.com. And here is Garfield, and here is Anya Taylor-Joy in Furiosa. I might have these backwards. You can't really tell.
I mean, you don't know.
So William Hughes
It
over at
looks so
AV Club.
similar.
I know they a lot of hair on both sides here. So William Hughes over at avclub.com put this article together. Despite strong reviews, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is on track for the worst Memorial Day opening since the 80s.
I hope they say what was being released in that time frame.
Probably Mad Max. I don't remember. No,
Okay, that would be weird.
Mad Max is like 76 or something like that. Here, let me see. Oops. 79. Yeah. So what's funny about this is there have been people that are talking about this still. Like right now, there's people out there on the interwebs that are doing their movie reviews, and they're like, I love Furiosa. But after the last one, the absurdity of the last one, I loved Mad Max. I loved, let's see, hold on. Let's see. There's Mad Max, Mad Max 2, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, then Fury Road. 85 was the last Mad Max. And then 2015 brings Fury Road, then Furiosa, 9 years later. Now here's what went wrong. 79 made Mad Max, and it became a cult film. Everybody fell in love with it. Then Mad Max 2 came out just a few years later, and people loved it because it pushed the story a little bit further. Then Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome brought Tina Turner into it, and Bartertown, and just another world building level that made it all look like there was a little semblance of society there. However barbaric it was, Mad Max was still roaming the wastes. And then done, gone, vaporized, and then out of nowhere comes what I think is the absurdity of Mad Max Fury Road. It's a fun watch, but it completely destroys any of the really hard knock world of Mad Max. Why? Because people were sitting there spraying shiny paint in their mouths to get stoned and basically die in combat. And there's somebody that's in a world where you're trying to get gas to survive another day, to get across the wastelands of the world. Why in the world would people be driving around in 18-wheelers with massive speaker arrays and somebody bouncing around on bungee cords playing a guitar? The absurdity was just way beyond even comic book level absurdity, right? Did I watch it? Yeah. Was it a fun watch? Yeah. Did I suspend disbelief? Yeah. But when you make that big of a jump and you create this, it just defies any of the historical canon.
Yeah, no, that's true. I
And
also think there's a problem when you have these massive time gaps in between the movies.
yeah. And then you throw, so Charlize Theron, or I think we've been pronouncing her name incorrectly all our lives. I don't think it's Theron. I think it's like Taryn. But anyway, so I think that she does an amazing job in Fury Road, but then 9 years goes by, and they're like, "Oh, uh, Anya Taylor-Joy. Let's throw her in there." And you're like, "What are you guys doing? Oh, I know what you're doing. Everybody fell in love with Charlize's character in Fury Road, and you can't put her in there now. So let's throw Anya Taylor-Joy in there."
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I like her in her other movies. I haven't seen um, Furiosa yet. I will. But I don't think that it's going to live up to the hype because it isn't Charlize. It isn't Mad Max. It's this new world building side of Mad Max. They're living off of the historical context of the 80s and before, because I think that Fury Road was meh, you know?
Right.
And let me see. I don't know if they actually talk about. I want to see what the receipts were, if they have it.
Well, I do too, because I was looking at something else that had like a listing of Memorial Day opening weekends, but I don't even see Furiosa listed. It looks like it got like 25 million domestically.
So, yeah, and I'm not looking at the current numbers. Mad Max Beyond, like Fury Road, has a 97 in Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic of 90.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I didn't like the world building of it. But it was an okay movie. But I guess I'm the anomaly, right? But Mad Max 2, spectacular. I liked Beyond Thunderdome because of the world building aspect of it, because there wasn't really any world building in the other two. It was just Mad Max roaming the waste, trying to, seeking retribution for his wife and kid. So I don't know. I don't think that it's going to live up to the hype of what everybody is saying. Unless they do some really fantastical writing, and Furiosa lives up to it. But people aren't talking about it like that. People are like, well, I really like it still, even though what's reported so far is only $10 million.
Right.
They say that it's set to bring in between $31 and $33 million this weekend. That'll put it just ahead of Garfield, but maybe Garfield will eat their lunch. Furiosa, despite the hype.
Lasagna.
Yep. Yeah. So as far as they can tell, the article says, as far as they can tell, the wider world just doesn't care about seeing incredibly sick shit happening in cars the way us normal people do, damning Furiosa, which has gotten strong reviews, if not the exultant tributes Fury Road received, with a lack of four-quadrant appeal, i.e. boring people don't want to see it. Yeah. I don't know if it's boring people, but
yeah, I don't know if that's the issue.
I don't know. I guarantee you it'll be a fun watch, but it's kind of like a 3-star, 1-star kind of dynamic here. If it gets a Michelin star, it's worth going to, right? Is this earning a Michelin star? Are you going to go out of
Probably
your way?
Not.
You know,
Maybe you'd watch it on streaming.
I think, you know what? We're going to have to talk after the show. Not just after the show, but tonight, when we're done with all of the shows. We have one more article, so let's get into it. We're running late. Yeah. The last article is Reality Hacker. 7 best comfort movies ever ranked. We're going to make this really quick. The article is over at digitaltrends.com, brought to you by Hannah Saab. And they always have 5, and then it's after the fold. Relegated to below the fold is 1 and 2. So Parent Trap, which is a fun watch. Paddington, which I don't think I've ever made it through Paddington. My Neighbor Totoro. Back to the Future, great watch. Raiders of the Lost Ark, great watch. Toy Story, great watch. And Lord of the Rings trilogy. Again,
wow, they put a whole trilogy instead of an individual movie.
Yeah. All of these are great. I think they're going to have Totoro. This is the original Parent Trap, 1998, isn't it? This is the remake?
This is the remake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the remake because there's a 70s era or 60s it says here. Yeah. Um, oh, who
Yeah,
was it?
that's Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, this is Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, yeah. Who was it that was in the original? Um,
Haley Mills.
yeah, okay. But the parents, I can't remember the two parents. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so Parent Trap, it says, is a delightful and humorous romantic comedy that's fun to revisit as an adult. They run into each other somewhere and then they set the parent trap, right? Yeah. So Paddington is this animated show. My Neighbor Totoro says, obvious choice for a snug night in. The heartwarming tale follows two young sisters, Satsuki and Mai, who moved to the countryside with their father to be closer to their ailing mother. That's interesting. As they settle into the new environment, the sisters soon meet magical creatures who take them on enchanting adventures in the nearby forest. Sounds like fun. I won't go through the rest. I think that everybody should just go and watch all of these movies and have a snug night in. And really, it doesn't matter what age you are, if you have parents or otherwise. This stuff is all very heartwarming and shows you a side of maybe movies that you haven't decided to partake in. I've never seen My Neighbor Totoro, but I'm going to put that on the list and we're going to watch it. Because I actually like the world building just off of that little bit. It's very open the cupboard and go into another dimension kind of a thing, or look through the spyglass and see something that's or the the little hole in the stone and see a completely different realm. It's very magical, and I love that kind of stuff. So,
Would you have added anything to this list?
I probably would not have put Lord of the Rings on there, because I don't think that that's comfort movie. Yeah, this is pretty intense for some people, particularly young, like kids.
That's true. Yeah.
Parent Trap, a kid could sit and watch that. I think nowadays, children today would probably think that it's boring as hell, so slow you're gonna fall asleep.
Right, because they're like, oh wow, but it was a cute movie.
Yeah, it's a different time, and I think parents would enjoy this with their kids. It depends on the age of the kid,
They need
older.
to fast forward some of the dialogue.
Yeah, in Parent Trap.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It depends just how prudish one is. Come on, Lord of the Rings, you wouldn't delete from this list if you're worried about language?
I can't think of what the language is in that.
It's not just language, it's just
There's violence and
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, there's some pretty serious suffering in this. So Toy Story is awesome. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I would not call it comfort either. I'd probably purge that from it. It is for an adult, but when the ark melts off people's faces and it's up close and personal, yeah, it's people get shot.
It's probably not
like
very
that.
comforting. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the Future is a no-brainer. Yeah, I'd probably, I don't know. Some of these are fun, but I wouldn't watch all of them like that. Okay, that's it, folks. We always get back into our little party bus. I guess for this one, because we're talking about movies, we have to all go back out to the concession stand, and then we have to check our pockets. Oh, we don't have a ticket. Well, I guess we're going to have to leave. And we'll go back to the front door and wait for our other friends to come out. But we always refresh, and look, a whole bunch of new articles. The Tortured Poets Department continues its tenure atop the Billboard 200. My goodness. Not Susan Lucci. Anyway, I'm Mayor Watt, and above me is the co-host, Sentient AI from the Future.
Good night, Unbound citizens. Thanks for joining us for Continuity Report. Be back soon. We have Technology Today and 4Bill Tech.
I'm going to try and get us operational within 10 minutes. So stick around. See you in a little bit. put butter all over my shirt.